6:15 in Douala. Thanks and welcome to join me on the news. I'm Kejang Henry at Timbe. We flag off with our headlines. Tragedy struck in Yaoundé when a 16-year-old girl lost her life after consuming bread and chocolate laced with toxic substance presumed to be rat poison. And according to police sources, a young man has admitted having spiked the food in a desperate attempt to seduce the girl. And fear grips travelers in the far north region after armed men abducted nearly 10 passengers on the Kuseri-Marwa highway, with the northern route now seen as a death trap. Drivers and commuters are calling for urgent reinforcement of security along Cameroon's major route axis. And with just 3 weeks to go before the school year, parents and students are already gearing up, buying textbooks and other didactic materials. We're going to get details in these 6:50 news. Top stories. Thanks and welcome. We can be consulted on our respective platforms on Canal International. I'll begin from Yaoundé, where tragedy has struck the town of Yaoundé when a 16-year-old girl actually lost her life after she consumed bread and chocolate. And of course, it is said or presumed that it was laced in a toxic substance, presumably rat poison. And the young man has admitted having been behind the spike as he intended to seduce the girl. High-Sincere report.
Bread
and chocolate, not like the usual. A love story that ended up tragic, taking the life of the 16-year-old Vondo Ekoto Elodie at the Mangie neighborhood in Yaoundé. This is the crime scene. Elodie is here as usual to meet her supposed boyfriend. She rather meets the roommate who has been jealous of their love affair for a long time. With a hungry stomach, the young girl requests for something to eat. This appeared like an opportunity for the supposed killer to achieve his long-time plans.
Charge le pain de mayonnaise, de chocolat. Bien plus, il met le aratadai.
He bought bread and chocolate plus rat medicine. We all know the effect of that substance. The girl then ate the combination unknowingly. The objective was to make the girl sleep for long.
La fille a donc mangé le pain chargé.
And while the girl is eating the poisoned bread, the actor is charging up himself with the bullet-hard drink, ready to sexually rough-handle the victim. But the immediate reaction becomes scary. When he noticed that the girl was dying, he decided to carry her away, not far from home. The culprits and accomplices will struggle to hide the criminal act from all neighbors, even the landlord. They are not truthful. When I returned back home that evening, I saw them gathered out there, and I asked what was wrong, and they told me there was nothing. It was the next day, when the forces of law and order arrived, that I noticed that such crime took place here. The deceased and other young girls earlier cautioned on such relationships, but they gave a deaf ear to the motherly advice. I told the girls to stay away from these guys, warning them against pregnancy. They ignored my advice.
Quand ils vont vous enceinter, ils vont vous abandonner et partir. Ma fille a fait comme si je m'agressais par elle.
Dumping the corpse away from the crime scene, the relatives of the presumed criminal would immediately arrange for his departure to the West region and later to Douala, where he is cracked down by the elements of the National Gendarmerie. Her departure a bitter pill to swallow by the family.
Oh, very unfortunate there. Thanks very much, High-Sincere. And they struck very silently in the midst or in the dead of the night, dismantling shops with carjacks and screwdrivers before taking off on motorbikes. Now, for weeks, their daring raids have actually terrorized shopkeepers in Douala 3 and Douala 5 municipalities. And these young men have been finally unmasked by the security operatives, as we are hearing from Morindi.
This is how they operate, breaking into shops at night with carjacks and screwdrivers before vanishing with stolen goods. On July 31, 2025, gendarmes in Douala intercepted a group of young men in their early 20s accused of a string of robberies that had left residents in Douala 3 and 5 living in fear. It was on a Thursday when we opened the shop and realized we had lost goods worth 620,000 CFA francs.
Je les félicite beaucoup. Notre gendarmerie est efficace. Nos forces de sécurité sont vraiment efficaces.
Investigations revealed that the group was highly organized, operating consistently in a group of 5. According to confessions, during interrogation, their leader had already served time for similar crimes in Yaoundé and had returned to Douala to re-establish the network.
Après exploitation et perquisition dans les différents domiciles.
During the raid we made in their various homes, we found expensive goods in their home, such as expensive dresses, shoes, television sets, arms to freely operate at night, expensive wigs, and mobile phones. We call on population to reinforce security on their sector of activities.
Ils doivent s'assurer qu'il n'y ait aucun espace entre la dalle et la grille.
Residents have expressed relief and applauded the swift intervention of the Gendarmerie. The arrests, they say, have brought much needed reassurance at a time when communities were growing increasingly anxious, particularly ahead of the school season when criminal activity tends to spike.
And fear grips travelers in the far north region after armed men actually abducted nearly 10 passengers on the Kuseri-Marwa highway, with the northern route now a death trap. Many drivers and commuters are already asking and calling for urgent reinforcement of security along major road corridors in the country. Details with Morindi.
In the wake of the mass abduction of nearly 10 passengers on August 14, 2025 in the Zigage and Saleh localities in Cameroon's Far North region, a wave of psychological distress has gripped travelers and transport operators in Douala. The incidents, attributed to armed groups operating along the Kuseri-Marwa corridor, has intensified fears among those commuting between Douala and the northern regions. 5 days after the kidnappings, 6 days after the kidnappings, individuals at the Doksimbi transport hub in Douala expressed deep-seated anxiety. Many now perceive journeys along National Road Number 1 as perilous, with some fearing they might not return. One time I was traveling from Yaoundé to Betua. I discovered someone was throwing stones on the woman, forcing us to stop. But suddenly we noticed we were about to be attacked, and I had to speed up.
Ça suscite la crainte.
This only makes us worried, especially with rising insecurity. Since then, some travelers have turned to spiritual solace, seeking protection through prayer before embarking on trips, noted a local observer. In response to the heightened insecurity, transport agencies serving the North and Far North regions have implemented enhanced security measures. They include adjusting departure times to avoid night travel and coordinating with security forces for safer passage.
Si Dieu décide maintenant que vous n'arrivez pas, vous n'arrivez pas.
Our lives depends on God. We trust Him in everything. If God says you die in an accident, then you will die. Despite these efforts, the trauma persists. Families like that of Gar continue to await news of their abducted loved ones, highlighting the enduring impact of such incidents on the community. It has created some sort of panic. We have immediately summoned a crisis meeting with drivers to sensitize them. All our drivers have been reoriented and reorganized. Marwa Yagwa, henceforth, passengers who left Marwa passing through Kusiri are now obliged to pass through Yagwa, then the Bongol Bridge to arrive Chad first before getting into the area. The August 14 kidnappings underscore the urgent need for comprehensive security strategies to protect civilians and restore confidence in travel across Cameroon's northern corridors.
And amid growing concerns over insecurity at the travel agency's Central Regional Governor's Office has launched a crackdown beginning this August 20 at the Van Motor Park. And of course, inspectors are already verifying safety protocols to ensure they guarantee better protection of passengers as well as other users of interurban transport. Beatrice Ngamo reports from Yaoundé.
The recent couserie, hijack and kidnapping, unaccountable disappearance of travelers, and many others, security concerns and worries that took officials of the Central Regional Governor's Office for this inspection and monitoring of travel agencies, August 20th at the Van neighborhood in Yaoundé. The goal here is to check if the security measures for securing transporters and Cameroonian travelers are optimal. Facts not only well established as they move around the structures but buttressed with working sessions for clarifications and explanations. The goal, they insist, is to check for the effectiveness and existence of metal detectors and fire extinguishers, whose quantity must be of good quality also. Not only that, as they must also make sure these devices are functional and being used by skilled hands. So the objective here is really, in light of the omnipresent terrorist threats that we are all aware of. I don't need to go over the hotspots or origin of this security threat. Terrorist threat is a global concern, affecting many countries beyond just Cameroon. They need also to improve the level of hygiene in and around the agencies, be it at the classic and VIP sections were also raised. From one agency to the other, they inspect, verify, and ensure things are the way they should be. Maximum security measures for travelers.
Thanks very much, Beatrice Ngamo. And with 3 weeks to go before the start of the new school year, parents and students are already bracing up for buying textbooks and other didactic materials. Now, while some parents prefer new textbooks for their children, others who don't really have the means will probably go for second-handed books. Bouquet Melinge reports.
Armed with their official book list, parents are flocking to the local flea market to snag second-hand textbooks at bargain prices. I have been doing this for
we are sorry for that report. The part quality. We'll be coming back to that report shortly. But the practice of journalism in Cameroon is under scrutiny with concerns about professionalism and ethics. And how to tackle this issue, the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists has actually taken the bull by the horn and is convening a regional media forum to hold in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon this September. And of course, we're going to restore credibility in the profession. With calls from Northwest Chief Correspondent Annie Collins, Sheriff Asale reports.
A forum for journalists in the Northwest region is in gestation. In preparation to that, the organizing committee led by the Bamenda chapter of the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists (CAMASEJ) addressed a press conference in Bamenda, August 19, 2025.
From the forum, a structure will be born to take care to pilot this initiative. Now, take note. It's not going to be just a CAMASEJ thing. It's going to be a Northwest journalist thing, which means CAMASEJ or no CAMASEJ, the media fund and the social security scheme will go on.
The precarious working conditions of journalists sharply contrast what many describe as a noble profession, especially as the practitioners age out, whereas their informative, educative, and sensitization products are consumed by the public most of the time for free.
So we are starting a scheme that will allow the public to pay for the news that they consume, and journalists who publish professional stories meeting the standards that our scheme will set will actually be able to make money from that. We also want to step it up to ensure that when they publish their stories, they're making a decent pay from it.
The initiative of a media forum by Kamasearch Bamenda, billed for September 25 and 26, is expected to create a new dawn for sustainability for journalists and their products, which obviously would lead to the media visibility of major stakeholders in return.
Well, thanks, Sharifa and Collins, for that report. And as the school year approaches, like we're already seeing, parents are tackling the task. Of course, it is a tumultuous task to make sure they provide for their children. And around the Ndokoti market, the bustling Ndokoti area, it is just everything you can find for the school children. Bouquet Belinge went through the bustling Ndokoti market.
As the new academic year rapidly approaches, vendors of shoes and school supplies at Ndokoti market are growing increasingly concerned. Despite their preparations, sales tables and stalls remain largely empty, with only a handful of parents taking advantage of the pre-season period to make their purchases. For the moment, the market is still dormant. The parents are not yet in a haste to buy on the ways. We bought the stocks and we are still waiting for the parents to show up. According to vendors, this year's slow start contrasts sharply with previous years. Last year, this period was better. We had customers from everywhere, but this year things are tough. While many parents are delaying their back-to-school shopping, others recognize the benefits of avoiding last-minute rushes. I chose to start buying things now because very soon prices will rise and things will be very difficult to purchase. I prefer to do it now. When we have many children, we are forced to do so as to avoid traffic. For some, on the other hand, it is the perfect time for making informed purchasing decisions based on quality and prices. Last time, I entered a shop to buy a new pair of shoes for my son. They told me 18,000 francs, while here it is cheap and of good quality. And since the market is empty for the moment, I choose carefully. As the September 8th start date draws near, anxious vendors are hoping for a significant uptick in sales to ease their concern.
Thanks very much, Bouquet Melinge. And we now meet Maureen D, who will be telling us on the holiday transformation camp organized by the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft to make sure they keep the children busy in transforming cassava, of course, pineapple and other fruit juice. Maureen D.
As the school year progresses, the issue of financing education resurfaces for many families. While some school loans are meant to ease financial burden of academic expenses, they often come with emotional and economic challenges for borrowers. People take school loans because they don't have the means, and when their salary is not consistent, they are forced to go to the banks. We take it because we have no other option, especially during this back-to-school period. The children are at home and your wife keeps mounting pressure. For some, school credit is a necessary solution to meet the costs of education. But for others, it represents stress, pressure and anxiety throughout the repayment period, leading many to reject the option entirely. Left for me, I would advise parents to opt for little economies, even if times are hard. Because when the banks start cutting from your salary, some parents find difficulty surviving, especially fending for their families. This is mostly for parents who don't have varied revenue sources. Those are the sacrifices they're bound to make to sacrifice to their children. I have never taken a school loan before. I strive to organize myself. I see it like a rope tied on people's neck. It's pressure, pressure, pressure. From the beginning of the second semester, this banking product is aggressively promoted by financial institutions, contributing significantly to the net banking income. Bank-to-school loans are very important, and it's a very important product which operates differently in different banks. There is a huge demand from parents, and banks are forced to comply. It starts from the month of July, and the months that follow, the banks start cutting. To protect borrowers from deeper financial discomfort, the government has established a debt ceiling. Still, the importance given to bank loans differs depending on each institution's strategy. Borrowers are advised to prioritize school-related expenses while using funds, ensuring the loans fulfill their intended purpose without further financial strain.
Well, we are sorry for that mix-up. We will come back to Maureen once more, as she will be telling us about the holiday transformation camp organized by the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft. And of course, this holiday camp is out to groom future generation of entrepreneurs as they are being taught how to transform pineapples and, of course, cassava.
With rising unemployment and limited access to practical skills training, many Cameroonian youth struggle to find meaningful engagement during school holidays. This lack of structural activity often leads to idleness, lost opportunities, and growing disinterest in natural development goals.
The problem is not only to educate, it's also to give to the youth the way to enter the social life.
To address this challenge, the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Crafts of Cameroon is stepping in with a solution focused on employment and skills development. Through its annual holiday transformation camp, the Chamber of Commerce is equipping young people with vital entrepreneurial and agro-pastoral skills aimed at building a more resilient and self-reliant generation.
For this third edition, we have tried to educate, to train youth into transformation.
From cassava flour and baked goods to natural pineapple juice and more, the young children are proving that holiday time can be both productive and transformative. At the Holiday Transformation Camp and Boadibo, the youth spent weeks turning raw agricultural produce into value-added products, gaining entrepreneurial skills and real. The 2025 edition, which concludes this Wednesday, August 20, at the Pilot Incubation Center in Boadibo, Douala, showcases the Chamber's commitment to nurturing the country's future business leaders.
The report draws the curtain for this edition of the 650 with me, Kejan Henry Atimbe. Thanking you for being there with us. Goodbye.